Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to Daybreak, reaching you live from the nation's capital in Abuja. My name is Aywelia. Thank you for joining us. On this show, we give you perspectives and analysis of issues of national concern.
Good morning. It is indeed a beautiful day to be alive, and we're excited to be here on Daybreak. I'm Dashin Husseina Usman.
Well, today being the 12th of January, the year is already, picking up I can see that, yes. Yeah, well, the year as well, because this is the first month of the year.
Yeah.
So gradually, the momentum is gathering.
Definitely.
And so that I'm seeing that people are resuming work fully gradually now.
Schools have resumed as well.
Schools are resuming, so it's quite an exciting moment, if I may, even though yesterday we also woke up to a sad story of the loss of one of Nigeria's historical leaders, Ernest Shonekan, who was
really sad.
Who was the head of state, the head of the interim government back in 1993, before the annulment of the June 12 elections, and that was under General Ibrahim Babangida. Well, so it's a sad one. The national flags are flying at half-mast, to pay respect to Ernest Shonekan. Our prayers are with his family. He has paid his dues indeed.
Yeah, he has. May his soul continue to rest in peace.
Amen. All right, now today on the show, we'll be looking at a number of issues. Reactions trailing the declaration of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the presidency in 2023. And then we'll be getting perspectives on that. We also, have other developments. The governor of Ebonyi State is also declaring his intention. So it's more like the leader of the APC is opening the Pandora's box. A number of people,
a lot of trooping in,
will be coming up,
declaring, their intent and everything.
That's just to show you that 2023, the conversation is getting louder. So we'll be talking a lot more about that. And then Super Eagles, in the AFCON 2021, which is now holding in 2022, there in Cameroon. We'll be talking about that. A number of issues coming up from there. And of course, as usual, we'll be taking a look at the stories on the front pages of our newspapers this morning. Ben Shema, Director News of Voice of Nigeria, will be joining us to give perspectives on that.
All right, but before we move on to the dailies today, let's take a look at the news highlights. Bandits have killed 3 youths in Plateau State. Reports said the youths were on their way to Tiana village in Riom local government area of the state when the bandits attacked them, killing 3 persons on the spot, while many others sustained injuries. A youth leader in the area and the national president of the Birom Youth Molders, Solomon Mwantiri, confirmed the incident to Punch newspapers in Jos on Tuesday. Mwantiri said the attacks on the youths happened on Monday night, noting that the attackers just inflicted the surviving victims with machete cuts all over their bodies while they were trying to escape, adding that the incident had been reported to the security agents.
All right, now the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has formalized his prior announcement that Amina Mohammed from Nigeria will continue in her role as Deputy Secretary General during his second term for another 5 years. In delegating development coordination to Mohammed, the Secretary General set in motion the reform in the history of the United Nations development system. Mr. Guterres, on June 18, 2021, took the oath of office for his second term, 5 years term as Secretary General of the United Nations, pledging as his priority to continue helping the world chart a course out of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, after he took his oath of office, Guterres announced that Amina could continue to serve with him for a second term that runs from January 2022 to December 2026. Her leadership helped advance the conceptual shift from the United Nations that member states call for in adopting the Sustainable Development Goals.
All right, bandits in Kaduna killed one person in the early hours of Tuesday in Romi Village, Chikun local government area of Kaduna State. Residents of the community told Trust TV that they woke up in the morning and discovered an unidentified male corpse at Al-Ali Road close to the police outpost in the area. Timothy Peter, a member of the Red Cross Service Group in Kaduna, says they are yet to ascertain the cause of the death, while Paul Jato, an elder in the community, called on the government to beef up security in the areas to avoid more of this.
All right, now Nigeria's premium oil grade Prince of Bonny Light has risen to $81.81 per barrel in the global market as the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries moves to achieve market stability. OPEC's Secretary General Mohammed Barkindo states this in his remarks at the 24th OPEC and non-OPEC ministerial meeting on Tuesday. This showed $19.81 per barrel, in excess of the $62 per barrel reference price of the 2022 budget, which is also based on 1.8 million barrels per day, excluding condensate, that Nigeria has the capacity to produce between 300,000 barrels per day to 400,000 barrels per day.
Okay, and with that, we wrap up the news highlights, and we'll take a look at events that happened today on January 12th. Stay tuned.
There you have it. You know what they say, they that do not know history are doomed to repeat it, even though we have people who know history and yet repeat it. And that's why we bring you Today in History, just so that you are informed about significant events in our history all over the world. Now, one of those back in 2010, like we saw there, is the Haitian earthquake that saw the death of over 300,000 people. That was a major, I would say, a tragedy the world over. We saw donations pouring in from different parts of the world to assist the people of Haiti. It's quite a sad one. I hope that they've been able, for those that have been massively, I would say greatly affected, have been able to.
You know, back then, most of the country's capital, that's Port-au-Prince, was destroyed during this particular disaster. You know, whatever it takes to actually rebuild must have really taken a toll on, that particular country. And we hope that disasters like this don't happen at all.
Even though sometimes are unavoidable because it's a natural disaster. But we actually do not want, occurrence of these tragedies, because when they happen, people lose their lives. Well, let's now move on to the dailies on Daybreak this time, and then we'll briefly be looking at the stories that made the headlines on our newspapers. Before then, let's take this short breather.
But in a situation where you find that they look at the same,
not necessarily tribal or regional.
but I have said that.
right, beginning with the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Quite a number of stories. 2023, like I told you, the conversation is getting louder. Now, you see the lead story there on Daily Trust says, Rumpus in APC over zoning as Umahi Kalu joined the race. So, you see the riders there also. Northern aspirants strategize. Ebonyi governor in Villa seeks Buhari's blessing. He says, the ex-Abia governor says, I will tackle Tinubu. That's Kalu. You would see also Fayemi will speak at appropriate time. That's CPS. All right. Now, the pictorial there shows you that of the national flag flies at half-mast as Shonikan dies at 85. Buhari, IBB, Jonathan, Atiku mourn. Well, are they the only ones mourning? Certainly
All
not.
of Nigeria.
I guess we have to pick a few. All right, now the next one says he was head of state at a difficult time, and that's Tinubu. That a colossal loss, says Abiodun. You'll see also below that revenue loss. Buhari directs Amechi to conclude boat contract. That's on page 22. And then at the very top there, you'd see Okada's return to Kano. Kano streets as Keke riders strike enters day 2. Well, the next one there on page 37, 2023, mixed reactions trail Kwankwaso's dismissal of zoning. In AFCON, Iheanacho on target as Nigeria defeat Egypt in group opener. You'll find details of that on page 47 for all the sports enthusiasts. And then at the very bottom, you'll find allow BDCs compete for $20 billion forex inflow. AFCON tells CBN. Court remands NSCDC officer over rape of teenager. That's tragic. 10 worshippers killed, others trapped in Delta Church collapse. Yet again, another building collapse.
All right, with that, we'll move on to the Punch newspaper. Right at the top, you'd see a story that says, Workers' Union fear job losses as Standard Chartered closes Nigerian branches. We also have 2,248 megawatts of power stranded monthly in 2021 despite blackouts, and that is coming from Gencos. Subsidy mobilized for protest. NLC directs affiliates CSOs. We also have Buhari, Jonathan, Obasanjo. Governors mourn as ex-ING head Shonikan dies at 85. The lead story there says Buni Malami moved to block convention. Governors rise against interim party chair. And you have the writers here that say 3 governors. Justice Minister push consensus agenda to block Tinubu. Someone is manipulating convention not to hold, says Progressives Governor's Director General. And we also have Malami doesn't hold any position in APC, plays no role, says Media Aid. And right at the bottom, you find a pictorial there of the Super Eagles, and it says AFCON, Iheanacho's Wonder Skins Pharaohs as Eagles beat Egypt 1-0. And beside it, you'd see a story that says Umahi meets Buhari, declares 2023 presidential ambition. Again, suspected herdsmen strike in Ondo, killing 2 on farm, gun down 3 rescuers. And then jealous Lagos husband stops pregnant wife's admirer to death. These are all the stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper.
All right. Now, from the Punch, we take a look at the blueprint this morning. There, you'd see also the lead story on the blueprint talks about 2023 presidency. Like Tinubu, Umahi meets Buhari, opens up on ambition. The writers there say his president asked me to consult widely, and then we are not bothered. VP still the best. Osimbajo supporters. I'll match Tinubu, others grift. I'll match Tinubu, others greet for greet, Uzo Kalu declares. And then you'd find also below the nameplate there, Nigeria owes Shonikan great debt. and that's according to President Muhammadu Buhari. AFCON 2022, Super Eagles cage Salah, Pep Pharaohs 1-0. That's the details is there on page 31, and that's that for the Blueprint newspaper this morning.
Okay, move on to the Nation newspaper, and we have the lead story here that says convention. Divided APC governors seek Buhari's help. And we have writers here that says PGF meeting shifted, caretaker committee can't be stampeded. And on top there, we have excitement over Tinubu's presidential bid. Coast clear for Lekan Balogun as Olubadan. We also have $130 million contract. Court remands Saipem MD. Others. We also have a story here that says Umahi joins 2023 presidential race. Flags fly as half-mast for ex-head of state Shonekan. And a writer there that says Buhari, IBB, Obasanjo, governors, Tinubu, others mourn. And right at the bottom you'd find a pictorial of Super Eagles, and with a title that says Eagles soar above Pharaohs in AFCON tie. Details of that story can be found in page 31.
All right, the last paper today we'll be looking at is The Guardian. The lead story there talks about 2023 as well. Well, I don't know. Maybe coincidentally, they now share a very similar lead with the Blueprint newspaper. It says, like Tinubu, Umahi informs Buhari of interest in presidency. So you'd see also the writers suggest political solution to Southeast insecurity, warns Ohaneze to stay off politics. Well, it's an interest group, so how will they stay off? Well, that's for you to answer. Kalu, I will match Tinubu grit for APC presidential ticket. Renews call for postponement of APC national convention. Osimbanjo, not threatened by Tinubu's declaration, says support group. National convention, courts may run affairs of APC stakeholders, warn. APC poses no threat to PDP in 2023, Wike boasts. And then you see also the sad story, national flag to fly at half-mast as Nigerians pay tribute to Shonekan. At the very bottom, lost opportunities as Eagles begin on winning note, beat Pharaohs 1-0. Below the nameplate, Buhari okays investment trust fund to promote foreign remittances. Bandits kill man, kidnap pregnant wife, children, others in Kaduna. Then the next one, IPOP disowns enforcers of sit-at-home order, condemns shootings in Enugu. Okay. And then the last story there we'll be picking is the one about 15 women, 20 children rescued, 50 others feared trapped as church collapsed in Delta State. So these are the stories on the front pages of our newspaper. Ben Sheman is in the studio, the Director News, Voice of Nigeria. Good morning and welcome to Daybreak.
Good morning.
My pleasure, thanks.
Well, we have a sad story, really, so I would like for you to comment on that, about the late Ernest Shonekan, just a highlight of what we know about his person.
Yes, honestly, Ernest Shonekan, may his soul rest in peace. He came in when Nigeria was at the crossroads. There were too many uncertainties. The political barometer was so hot. You could see people talking of regionalism. People would want to go back to where they originally come from, instead of living where they are, earning some livings. Babangida had to step aside, as he would call it, to save the situation. And of course, June 12 had been annulled. A Yoruba man who indeed was said to have won the election, Chief MK Abiola, was shoved aside. And again, another Egba man, Yoruba, brought in. So at a point, the place became divided, even within the Yoruba kingdom. But then Shonekon came in as a stabilizer, interim government. In other words, he was there so that, as it is said in Nigeria, we go shine our eyes. We now plan our own political journey. But the tenure was short-lived. I remember that time I was a crime and defense correspondent. Suddenly I got a call from Colonel Chijoka, Fred Chijoka. I was needed in Dodan Barracks, and two other people, I don't want to call their names, reached there only for us to say, look, stay here. Suddenly, Abacha came. He had overthrown Shonekon, and we had to record the speech that Abacha gave to the nation, removing the interim government. The situation was so serious, riots here and there, but again, even when kept in the dark, Shonekon was an epitome of unity. He was a unifying force for the country. Therefore, it's not out of place that flags should be flying at half-mast for this hero. He was an industrialist who indeed was an economist, and his own economic policies before entering government was pro-Nigeria. I still remember when some people were calling his wife First Lady. He said, no, I am in civil service and I don't want to have anything to do with that office. So it was a kind of a low-key office, but again, they all were committed to one Nigeria. May his soul rest in peace.
Amen. All right, well, on to other stories, political stories. Again, it's been from one declaration to another.
Exactly.
A number of people are now coming out. Umahi, Orji Kalu, also coming out. This is after the leader of the APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So let's get your reaction, as well.
Yes, my first reaction is they are rushing to the villa, making the villa a kind of a mecca. As if I get the endorsement of the president, I have the endorsement of all Nigerians. Yes, the president is the leader of the party, But again, why don't you just begin to gauge, put the scale of Nigerians, their thinking on your own scale to see whether you are lovable, you are likable, you are a candidate. But again, it's a good thing they are coming up. And when we see, like Umai already telling Ohaneze, look, stay out of politics and all that. Ohaneze is a pressure group. And pressure groups do have some political interests. Everybody who claims to be apolitical, they are always, in most cases, very, 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 very political too, because politics is about sharing of resources, sharing of power, sharing of the economy, and of course, ensuring that everyone is being taken care of. So if you feel that your area needs to have this, so be it. And that brings to mind the issue of this zoning system. We have some people who are saying, look, we don't need to zone the political office as that of president, that of governor. We should look for people of substance, credible people who indeed can deliver the goods. The PDP of those days will call it dividends of democracy. It's like a convention. It's like a deal you sign with the people. Put me into power, I give you security, I give you employment, I give you health, I protect your environment. You sleep with your two eyes closed because I am awake. Because the security agents of which I am the C-in-C, the commander-in-chief, I tell them what to do and they do it. So That is it. So we expect this to happen, but we should also be mindful of what we call the mudslinging, name calling, tagging some people. I see that Fayemi of Ekiti State is already saying that even when he was showing some interest, ab initio, his interest has not gone down, but that some people, including governors, as he's alleging, are trying to demarket him. In other words, he's not sellable, he's not fit, he's not, and that's why he's challenging them. And that is politics, and that is just within one party. We're now talking of the rest. PDP, ABGA, just name it, they all are National Conscience Party, they all are there. And we also pray that we, the members of the fourth estate of the realm, we begin to give these people the even platform, equal ground for them to contest. We have, of course, the elections debates group. I hope they will wake up now. Time has come for them to ensure that by debating we begin to know the stuff candidates are made of. And some people feel the VP too should not be a pushover because he's not incapacitated. The fact that he's quiet and his aides are talking, that also tells you a body language. And so when people go to seek the president's endorsement, it is right too that they also visit the vice president so that they say, well, we are told you have some dreams. I'm also a dreamer. So dreamers will meet so that we move together.
All right. And now some Nigerians say that they're tired of recycling of leaders. What's your thought on this? Do you think we're ready for someone new?
Yeah, yes. People talk that. And of course, there's even a law, not too young to run. But again, this is capitalism. The young guys, many of them do lack the experience, surely. But again, if you do have a young leader, there's nothing wrong in having technocrats around you, the experts, to give you advice. You are the political head, but they do the civil service work, the economy, you ensure the environment is conducive for investment to flow in. But when you have a situation where people are hungry, of course, politicians who indeed are rich, the older generation, all they do, you now see the bags of rice flying here and there. You see some wrappers. How much is one? 500 naira, 200 naira, 1,000 naira. You wrap all of that and you are giving people. And they say, yeah, he gave us wrappers. He clothed us when we needed, when we were naked. But again, is that enough for you to sell your conscience? And the politicians too should not just believe in once I'm campaigning, I must go to every nook and cranny, every village, I am there. And you read the book of lamentation. These people have failed. I am going to be your savior. And we get that you are voted in. Nobody sees you again.
Okay. All right. Well, we've talked about not too young to run. I mean, this campaign that have come, and it has yielded some results by seeing the, bill passed into law. Do you think that we should maybe be considering also something like too old to run? Especially if you look at the caliber of people that, are coming up, to contest for office, and then not much is said about their, physical fitness to be able to take on the responsibility that comes with that office.
Honestly, sometimes it's like a contract. Some people begin to hide some clauses in a contract. Where there are weaknesses or some issues, some liabilities, you hide them to the successor. Politically, too, you find some people who indeed, they might be having some health challenges, but all they do is to use the spin doctors, the aides who indeed will always say, the man or the woman is as sound, as solid as the rock of Gibraltar. And therefore, Nigerians don't get to question their candidates. I said something concerning elections debates. We should be able to question everyone before they indeed become even candidates. Right from their aspiration as aspirants, we should be able to question everything, their education background, their conduct in life, what indeed have been their pedigree in terms of support of their communities, so that helps. But if you say we should single out the old to say, look, don't contest, the Nigerian constitution simply says once you are 30, yes, 30, you can seek for that position of governor or president. So that tells you the rest should simply be that where they said
yes, but the constitution said that once you are 30, but it's people that did that constitution. So
yeah.
I'm sure that can be amended as well to say that look, there's an age limit, for you to contest.
Yeah,
don't you think that that's in the interest of the people?
It is in the interest of the people, but I want to tell you that we should, since it is a multi-party democracy, if you feel somebody is too old in that party, shift to where your interest is protected. Because once they come in, they are always never the same age. So there is the young, the middle, and the aged. They all are competing for one seat. So it's for Nigerians of all ages to also, shift where they think they...
Yes, one will wonder that, in the civil service, for instance, and in other careers, we have retirement age, but one wonders when it comes to politics, we don't have retirement age, right? And so you would think that maybe some of the old people, not that they do not have a role to play, but maybe they should take some backseat and maybe play the role of, giving advice and all of that to the young chaps.
Absolutely, yes, we have that. But in terms of even the tenure of a president, honestly, I want a situation where if people are just not performing, vote them out. Truly. Because if we simply focus on age, you find some very young guys who indeed are also inexperienced. Some have never held the position of a counselor. Some have never even become a classroom teacher. But if you run a shop somewhere and suddenly, okay, you are now Mr. President, His Excellency, you see the inexperience in many things. And that is why if you've done a journey within the civil service to a certain level, you have left that, you now in the organized private sector, you see that your journey towards life, nationhood, your experience in terms of service delivery will be different. But a situation where somebody will just from nowhere, you've not been working at any point in time, but suddenly you are now a president.
Yeah, but if you put up that argument, this will lead to also other arguments that, okay, now we had the Yakubu Gowons of this world. We have the Ojukus of this world. We have the Buharis of this world who came to presidential offices without any prior such political office or experience like you are talking about now. So what has changed?
Absolutely.
Really?
That is what we call situation creating the leadership. That a situation, I tell you, supposing, God forbid, there's fire outbreak here, you see that somebody somewhere is doing a lot of evacuation without being trained. The situation has warrants that. But there are always very rare occasions in this kind of a thing. But I think that absolutely, if there are some people who can deliver the goods, let it be. And that's why we'll still be talking of experiences. I tell you that sometimes some people go to hospital when they see very young, he's a young doctor, they begin to look at such a doctor with some reservations. There are no older doctors in this place. I am not saying we should go into gerontocracy, government of the old people. Everyone there belongs to 70 years and above. No, we should be. And that's why if you look at the Supreme Court, these guys are old, and it is expected that at that age, look, you are closer to God. The truth is just your Bible or the Quran. And so we should expect that. But sometimes we also see the youthful exuberance when it comes to I don't want to name names, but you see that there are some people who indeed are in government and they are that young. You see that there's that youthful exuberance. That shouldn't just be the thing. Nigeria is where we should be talking of serious issues, the economy, and we're talking of real politicking, we're talking of cohesion, we're talking of reconstruction, cohesion in society. I mean, that is just it. And this situation where we are still talking about state of origin, well, we should be talking of state of residence. I mean, if you were born in Lagos, who says you shouldn't be contesting in Lagos? Your parents were born in Lagos, you were born there in Lagos, your children there, you're married there, you're working there. But when they say you want to join any of the armed forces, state of origin, you say Kaduna, you now have to go to Kaduna, local government area, you go to Zango Kata, they don't even know you there. You pay your tax to Lagos people. Nowadays, so this kind of segregation should just stop. If America in one family will produce a president, 2 governors, and America is not falling, why shouldn't Nigeria be? When you are appointed, you begin to ask, what religion? Even in the religion, which denomination? Even in the denomination, which society inside that denomination? You know, it doesn't augur well for us. Go to some states today, you see people live according to religions, according to where they come from. It shouldn't be. Those days, see, a Muslim is here, a Christian is next, a Muslim is next, a Christian is next. The children will play together, grow together, and develop Nigeria together. And that's why we're talking of this unity school. Yes, the Gowon you're talking about, when there was this civil war, the man came out and said, look, let us begin to see how we're going to bring cohesion, unity in this country once more. And that was why he created the National Youth Service Corps. You leave Lagos, go to Maiduguri. Maiduguri goes to Calabar. Calabar goes to Sokoto. And we begin to know the cultures. You are encouraged. And that, I saw that the governor of Akwa Ibom is even saying that, look, when you have core members sent to your state, a governor should be able to retain as much as at least 100 every posting, and that brings a kind of unity. The National Sports Festival was also introduced by Gowon to ensure that youths compete, not by fighting, but some friendly competition. And quite a lot of things Gowon initiated. But you see that people, the present generation, and NYC is outdated. It's not outdated. Friendship can never be outdated.
Okay, now let's move on to yet another story, talking about the APC National Convention. There seems to be a lot of confusion in that camp.
Absolutely, because they also have to be mindful of certain things. If the Constitution says, or INEC is also saying, look, for you to do a convention, you must give us 30 days notice. The date APC is proposing, is it going to reach, the 30 days from today? That is one thing. Then the next thing, what we call the political gladiators, alignments and realignments. If they are no longer birds of the same feathers, they will never flock together. And that's why the president warned in his previous interviews, he said, look, the way PDP was defeated is the way APC could be defeated because of disagreements. They should get their act together. It's not enough for everybody you rush to meet the president to provide the answer. No. The solution in every school is always never with the headmaster alone. There are teachers, there are even students. You also have the head boy, the prefects. They also help in providing solutions. And again, listen to the voice of the opposition. Listen to the voice of those who are critics, and not pull down people, but critics who indeed mean well for the country. So APC, you see that at the point they say, their constitution does not allow for this long kind of a governor who is elected running the party again. He has 2 elected offices. Keyamo brought this matter, and I think that the way they shook him, you can see Keyamo has gone down low. He's not vibrant as he used to be out of government or before the famous judgment that was given in the case of Zamfara or even Sokoto. Even Edo State, so Keyamo came in telling them the wrongs in APC. They said, oh, this guy is performing like a mole. He is in government, he belongs to the party, but his criticisms are pro-PDP. But again, he was pointing at what legal implications there are on ground. If, for example, the party does not allow you to have interim leadership, National Working Committee, and you therefore have it, then you organize a convention. Elections were done to occupy party offices and even gubernatorial candidates, presidential candidates. By the time people go to court and say, look, your constitution says you don't have this. So the law is blind as to this provision. That tells you you can't build something on nothing. Your foundation is built on sand. When the tide comes, it sweeps that sand and the house falls. So it's nice that they get it right so that politically a stable Nigeria, a stable political party, if political parties are stable, Nigeria will be stable. And that's where we're talking of internal democracies within the parties. If the political parties are democratic in their conduct, Nigeria too will be democratic in conduct. If a party A is good in handling its own affairs, party B will copy that. And if we're talking of how the candidates come by, let's say by consensus. If you say, okay, we all agree, so be it. But if a minority says no, of course they only have their say, the majority will have their way. If they say have elections, but it could be indirect or direct, these are the three ways in which all the political parties will have flag bearers. So if the constitution says let's have this, and all of you begin to muzzle some other people and tell them, threaten them, don't do this, you can't do this, of course, you see people pulling out. And when people pull out, you go to court, they tell you, look, why did you go to court? They said, once there is a conflict or a crisis within a political party, you can pull out. And that was what the APC did. Came out from PDP, came out from AGA, came out from other political parties to form APC. And of course, the rest is history.
Okay, well, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll wrap up the discussion on our newspaper review this morning. Please stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us. This is Daybreak, reaching you live from the nation's capital. Taking a look at the dailies on Daybreak, basically having perspectives on the stories that made headlines, basically on the front pages of our newspapers. And we have in the studio Ben Shemang, who is the Director of News, Voice of Nigeria, in the studio, talking to us about all of this. Now, some other interesting stories, really economical now this time around. The strike action by Keke Napep riders in Kano is the second day already. Yesterday we are seeing that a loss of about 300 million naira was recorded by the Keke Napep operators in one day alone. So going to day two, it means that quite a lot more could be, lost, isn't it?
Absolutely, because, and this is where we're talking of gross domestic product. And these are the economic activities that generate funds for the operators and even the Nigerian government. Look at how much was lost for just one day. That lost loss was for the, the operators. Now you look at the taxes, what the state government gets from these operators. They also lost quite a lot yesterday. Now today, these losses will continue. If it continues for a week, you can imagine many banks will be affected surely. Because if you make the money, you go to put it in your own bank. Teachers, students, pupils who indeed are always been ferried via this Keke Napep, you could see that, of course, there's a problem. But again, the police will say, yes, today we relax because these people are not on the road. Then the hospitals at the point will say, okay, there were not too much of these accidents here and there. So if you look at it, some people will be smiling, some will feel sad. But I tell you that once the economy is injured,
it's difficult.
It's difficult. It's not enough for the police to feel, okay, today we are relaxing because we are not controlling the traffic, we are not doing all of this. But I tell you that quite a lot of activities are affected by this strike, and I think they should resolve it as quickly as possible. Look at that state is the most populous in Nigeria, and when you look at the sea of, let me describe it that way, of these Keke Napep tricycles, you just believe as if the manufacturing companies in Kano, as if everyone in Kano has one. But again, let us resolve that crisis.
Okay. Now, a lot of states banned Okadas for security reasons, and with this particular strike, we've seen them, come back. They return to the streets. What does that say, on the fight against security or insecurity?
Yeah, like the motorcycle, popularly also called Okada, at the point they engage themselves into what they call stop-by, drive-by shooting. They target some people, and some guys are on the bike, they do the shooting, and the way they meander their way and off they go, and the kind of speed they will always run. And that was why in Kaduna State, Plateau, Benue, Borno, Yobe, they banned some of these things and substituted them with Keke Napep, this tricycle. And of course, it was to bring some little sanity. The speed in which tricycle runs is not the same thing with that of the motorcycle. Today, if you look at where there are kidnap cases, those who look for ransom will first of all say, bring a motorcycle to start with, because they know the role of motorcycles. And that's why the security agencies are also imbibing this use of motorcycles. They're now mounting some guns up there to enter some of these bushes to pursue these criminals. So yes, in terms of Keke Napep or tricycle, you could see that they have some covers. When rain comes, you are protected. But it was also realized that some people could be two in one. In there, they are busy robbing some people one would not know. So at the point when that was reported to some governors, and they were stopped. And today we're talking of they are formally registered. You must have a number, and they have some units with leadership, so that you have to register to belong to that area. If you don't have anything to do with that area, you don't ply or enter those areas. They have lines of demarcation, lines of operation, and that brings some kinds of sanity.
All right. Well, finally, let's look at this issue of power. We're hearing from the federal government that over 2,000 megawatts of electricity, is kind of stranded, not offtaken by the DISCOs. So you have GENCOs, producing much more, and then we have the rest of it wasted because DISCOs are not, offtaking. What's exactly are we dealing with here, and how can we come off it?
And to add that just yesterday or day before yesterday, there was a destruction of 504 megawatts of electricity in one of these states. Now, if you look at when government decided to unbundle, it used to be NEPA. National Electricity Power Authority, now say, let's break these companies. One, its own job is just to generate this power, generate, and put in a pool. Then that's the generating company. Then the distribution would take that via the cables, the electricity wires you see all over the place. Now, when you now distribute into houses, offices, industries, the street lights and all that stuff, that is where you begin to have some problems. The generating companies are losing. They generate so much, but it's like what they have generated has some lifespan. Instead of the distribution company to grab this and sell to people, houses are still without electricity. Generating companies are saying, look, we have this. It's like you brought in perishable items, mangoes, vegetables, carrots, oranges. They all are, look, the trailers are here, but people are refusing to, retailers are refusing to come carry, go sell into small markets. So the heat and everything will make them get rotten. And that is where government should come in.
Is this a problem of infrastructure? And
yes,
why are we not seeing improvement in this?
Honestly, if the generating companies are saying we generate so much, and these people are refusing to because when you go to pick that, you have to pay. So the little they just pick and pay, they now sell it to all of us at a very high price, which is not supposed to be. The more you have this electricity, yes, little by little, you make your profit. But when you feel you want to make your profit within the shortest time possible, and you also don't believe in these prepaid meters, you want to do estimated bills, you just believe, okay, trust newspapers. We don't need to give you what you call prepaid meter. We just come and negotiate. So some people will believe in cutting corner, will negotiate with you instead of this bill of 10 million you owe us. My brother, we can carry the rest ahead, bring 4 million. 500,000 goes into that man's pocket, and the rest goes to the company, government coffers. It's just not it. Pay as you go. Do it the way of these telecommunication companies. The more you talk, the more your units go, and so be it. So we expect that government should also be firm. If these people invest and generate electricity, we must, government, when I say we, I mean every Nigerian, we must make these distribution companies to take this light, distribute to every nook and cranny, and so be it, so that we don't waste this electricity that we preciously need. Without electricity, many places will just crumble. And why is it that even in some big hospitals, national hospital, you see that once operations are supposed to start, you on a generator and put the electricity on a standby.
Okay, now when it comes to epileptic power supply, this has been an issue that has been ongoing for years, even before I was born. Do you see a Nigeria where the power is stable in future, or as soon as possible?
Hussein Nasi, if you get a government at the point that now says, look, from today, no more importation of generators. Why is it that ministries, government agencies, people will rush to bring very big power plants?
There's power in it.
Because there is something in it. If we all pay, let us face it. If at the point President Buhari said, look, this importation of rice is too much, why should some other nations be making it so much in terms of rice export to Nigeria? We are spending hard currency importing rice when we have all these the areas where we can farm, improve rice here and there. So why should we be importing? At the point, he said, people are saying we are dying, we are doing this. Okay, let us learn to produce what we can consume. In the same way, if we have a government that will wake up and say, see, we give this year, anybody importing generator set, this is the tax. rather go and pay your bills. Then we ensure that any light generated, it is evacuated, transmitted, and sold to the people. And once sold, of course, it's going to be pay as you consume. If you don't pay, your light goes off because somebody is controlling it over somewhere. You know, so that is the thing. And if you also check the tension, the cables, I mean the poles being used. If you use concrete, the better. But when you begin to use the thick tree, termites, bushfire will always burn this thing and they fall off. And you begin to again invest so much trying to protect or servicing those infrastructure. Do the materials that will last. Concrete poles will be the thing instead of these trees that we have. So I foresee that it's going to be good. What it takes is one minister, one president saying, look, we've had enough of this importation. After, if you look at how many families are dying because of generator fumes, I mean, it's just not it. If you look at how much we are spending, it's just not it, not worth it. Do you look at the environment today? Every smoke that goes, it says a lot about what is happening in the sky. We're melting the ozone layer. And today, see the season of rain. Rain is going so fast these days.
Climate change.
So climate change, we should be able to play our own role too.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the
Thank
program
you.
and sharing your thoughts with us on this segment. We look forward to having you again.
Thank you very much. My pleasure once
Thank
again.
All right, now let's take a quick break. Well, for those who are just joining the show, we've been speaking with Ben Sheman. He is the director, News, Voice of Nigeria, and he's been the one giving us all those interesting perspectives on the stories on our newspapers. Now, we'll go on a quick break, and then when we come back, we will be taking a look at other discussions on the program. Still talking reactions, trailing the declaration of the Bola Ahmed Tinubu for presidency in 2023. Stay with us. Well, there you have it. Well, now we'll be taking a look at other discussions on the program and talking about reactions trailing the declaration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as presidential candidate for 2023 elections. Now, several reactions have trailed that declaration, the Tinubu confirmed on Monday that he has, informed President Muhammadu Buhari on his intention, of course. And then the former Lagos State governor stated that it was his lifelong ambition to be the president of the country, adding that he has the confidence, vision, and capacity to build on the success of President Buhari. Meanwhile, Governor David Umahi of Ebonyi State has also declared his intention to contest for the highest office in the land. Now, the governor addressed the State House correspondents after meeting President Muhammadu Buhari. Take a look.
Well, generally, yes and no. We discussed, politics as per the growth of our party APC in Nigeria and in Southeast. And of course, the interest of Southeast for the seat of presidency in 2023. And of course, I told Mr. President that without prejudice to whatever will be the decision of the party, which we shall all abide by, that if the party throws the ticket open or the zone to southern part of Nigeria, that I believe that with what I put in place in the past 6 years plus, that I will be running for presidency on the platform of APC. So I told him, and of course, he believes that whoever that wants to run for president of this country must have to consult widely and go to all the leaders, and that we must do everything to remove ethnicity and our religion in our polity so that this country can grow.
All right, now before we bring in our guest, let's take this reaction about Tinubu's presidential declaration.
Well, I want to say that he has a very good chance, and I see him as somebody who will make a good presidency, going by his background and his track records. Well, Bola Ahmed Tinubu was the governor of Lagos in 1999. We know how he made the state, and we know how he has transformed the state to be. Forget about whatever detractors say. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as governor of Lagos State, I served under him as chairman of a local government, and I make bold to say that he is one person who, as a governor of Lagos, he came in, he knew what to do. And one of his major achievements is to come up with a master plan for Lagos.
Now, the view is that almost all of us, we are very happy about it. The whole nation is happy. We are joyous that the person of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed has set the ball rolling, and we are happy. He is the most qualified person among all others that will even come out. And now that he has come out to declare his ambition, you will see that every other thing will fall aligned.
What are his chances?
He has more than 90% chance by the special grace of God. All of us who are semi-youth and youth, we are supporting. You can see the youth behind me and me that at the middle age. So we are all supporting him because we know how he transformed Lagos.
You can see that the yearning and aspiration of Nigerians has been answered through the declaration being made yesterday by our leader, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Right from the time, so many groups have been calling him to declare his ambition to contest for the Nigerian president. You can see immediately the Kwaga make a press release yesterday, and he answered to our call. That means Asiwaju have answered to the Kwaga response. Today is my happiest day on one reason, because we need a good successor for the present administration, and we can even see that competent man on the ambition of Asiwaju that is declared yesterday. Right from the time politically is okay, financially is buoyant, psychologically psychologically and everyone is.
Listening to his statement yesterday that he has briefed Mr. President of his intention to run for president come 2023, it's obviously clear that our national leader is out of touch with the current reality in the country. Since 1999 till date, it is enough time to show that our previous assumptions are very wrong. Hence, the need to have a much younger person to be president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and not just the presidential position, but governors at all structures. Over 80% of what we could call or tag as legacy projects in this country today are done by former leaders when they were in their prime age. Why is this ambition coming out at a time when the young people say they are tired of this same age grade? Why is it that since 1999 till now, or let me even say since 2007 when he finished his tenure as governor of Lagos State, why was this ambition not better? Since 2007 till today, what experience can he say is having in the governance of this country? For somebody at the age of 60, 70, what are you looking for? What service have you not rendered that you now want to render?
All right, welcome back. Well, we have all seen that. Moving on straight into the discussion, we have a political analyst and a columnist with Daily Trust newspapers, Ilyas Ugandu. He has written several articles about the unfolding scenario, and he joins us in the studio today. Good morning and welcome to Daybreak.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you too.
Thank you.
All right, we also have joining us virtually public affairs analyst Ario Atoye from Ekiti. Good morning and welcome. Okay, now let's move on to the first question. Now, you wrote an article titled "Tinubu's Problematic Presidential Aspiration." What informed your decision to actually write this particular article?
First of all, Tinubu's presidential ambitions is the worst kept secret in Nigerian politics. From 2015, when he yielded the political space to allow President Buhari to become, candidate Buhari then, to become the flag bearer, to help merge, the parties into APC, and now, of course, to yield the platform to President Buhari then, candidate Buhari, to become the president. He had his sights on the presidency, and that was a strategic move. And from his body language and from his activities, you knew that he was eventually working towards making sure he became the president or the flag bearer of the APC that he helped to form. So it wasn't a matter of hide and seek. It was there. It was just waiting for time. And what happened the other day when he met Mr. President to declare his intention was a culmination of what we all knew was going to happen. So it's not a secret. It's the worst kept secret in Nigerian politics, if I told it was a secret, because a lot of us knew what was the trajectory of Tinubu, and we knew that there was only one thing he was going to look for, and that is the presidency. And following the fact that President Buhari is going to conclude his term, in 1 year or so, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu decided to pitch in to ensure that he kept hope with his ambition. So it's actually not it's a non-event really. It's what has been built to happen, and it has happened.
Do you see a problem with this strategy? It's almost as if everyone already knew, like you said, that this is where it's heading. So do you think that this has an implication on the perception of people, Nigerians generally, about his political journey?
Yeah, well, for me, let me just say clearly, Tinubu went to see Mr. President to tell him about his, his presidential ambition, because he felt he needed to tell Mr. President, look, President Buhari, I've come to get my IOU from you. I gave you the chance in 2015, and I'm coming here to make sure that you kept your word, or at least kept to the agreement we had, unspoken agreement. So it's like going to remind Mr. President, look, I'm coming here, I want to, take the plunge, and I want to make sure that you, agree to what we agreed on. You endorse what we agreed on, because I don't want to get into the field without your backing. So for me, that is what Tinubu went to do to the president. He went there to get his IOU. The IOU he gave Mr. President in 2015 and said, look, now you are leaving, I want us to get back to what we agreed on,
But whether or not that will work in his favor, that's what I'm looking at. Some will say that it's no longer a secret. I mean, we've always known this is where you are heading. So would that have given enough time, for opponents or, people who are also eyeing the 2023 presidential election to have, maybe some plans to make sure that that doesn't happen?
Yeah, well, we all know that Tinubu is not the only personality within the APC that is angling for that position, the ticket of APC, and hopefully to win the election, in 2023. But, from the time that the APC was set up under his auspices, under his very great contributions, Tinubu, as the strategist he is, decided to ensure that he kept lock on, the party and his presence and his strategies to ensure that, nobody else emerged, within the party to countermand his, position as the leader of the party. If you notice, President Buhari is supposed to be the leader of the party, but also Tinubu contrived to share the limelight with Mr. President. Even the vice president, who is supposed to be the second in command of the country, and by that term, the second in command of the party, Tinubu made sure that, look, I won't share the limelight with you. Yes, I will yield the ground to Mr. President because he is the man of the moment. But once Mr. President goes, I want to be there, and nobody else is going to take that position from me. And I'm going to make sure that that happens eventually.
All right. Now, you wrote in your article that it will, and I quote, it will take a foolish man to bet against Tinubu running for presidency in 2023. Kindly elaborate.
Yeah, what I meant was that, look, it's all clear, that's from what I said, earlier on, that the signs have always been there that he was going to, contest, the seat. And he was going to make sure that he contested on the APC. And that you knew that that would be the culmination of Tinubu's political trajectory. He had been a senator, he had been a governor, and what else? What else is for him to be president? All this, political trajectory he has had all the while was climaxing towards becoming the president of the country. And he wasn't going to yield the ground for anybody. And if anybody thought, Tinubu was going to be persuaded by arguments that he was too old or he was too, he was sick or something like that, it wasn't going to fly because he had intentions to become the president of this country right from when he helped to, merge the other political parties into APC. So it's like almost like what I would say a slam dunk.
A number of issues actually you raised in that article about his educational qualification, the decision to pick a running mate, his political career being predominantly in the southwestern region of the country, and how he hopes to achieve the support, the needed support he needs, from the northern part of the country in this his political ambition. So let's begin with his educational qualification. You think that there's something to worry about there?
Yeah, there is. I mean, despite the fact that he has spin doctors, people trying to airbrush his, educational qualifications, but there are still question marks about his, his initial educational, development. I mean, for instance, when there were conflicting reports of his having attended it's a government college Ibadan and another school in Lagos and somewhere elsewhere. This has not, I mean, there has not been clearly stated facts about which secondary school he attended, which college he attended. And this has been lingering on. Of course, there have been, one or two cases to prove that, but it has been inconclusive. So these are things that he will have to take on board because questions will be asked. He has come out into the limelight now. He's seeking the presidency of this country. He's not seeking the leadership of the Southwest. He's seeking the presidency of this country. And that will feature very prominently. And going from the primary, from the secondary school, you will also have to question him about, his, tertiary, qualifications. And at one point, it was said he attended University of Chicago, but then, of course, it was debunked. And then he said he attended Richard Daley School in Chicago. That too, is dodgy. Even though, of course, the evidence that he attended Richard Daley School, but then what kind of school is it? One moment you said you attended University of Chicago. The next moment, you now had to beat a hasty retreat to say you attended Richard Daley School. So there are a lot of inconsistencies that he has to deal with. These are some of the problematic issues about him. Of course, there are other things regarding his candidacy, his aspirations, but this forms one of them, one of the key areas in which he has to come clean. This is not an issue to hide over because these are issues that you have to prove. You have to prove by showing clear, conclusive, documentary facts that you attended the schools for people to actually, in fact, one of the qualifications of being the president is that you must have attended the secondary school. And if he has to prove those things to Nigerians.
All right. Now, you called him the undisputed king of the Southwest, but that doesn't compare, with the national political scene. Just how much influence does he have nationally? Well,
he's definitely, there are no arguments about his influence, political influence in the Southwest. I mean, he is the kingpin of Lagos politics. That's indisputable. And to a very large extent, he has a following in the Southwest that is quite remarkable, that is quite unassailable. I don't think there's any argument about whether, Tinubu's political weight in the Southwest. There isn't any argument in that respect. But when it comes to the national, arena, that's where, we begin to have question marks. And Tinubu has tended to close that gap by using political agents. He's not connected with the grassroots nationally. He's using political agents and proxies to penetrate. He thinks, okay, I have the Southwest, lock and key, and then I could just use my, agents in parts of the North, especially the Northwest, to be able to help me carry my candidacy there. Which is quite unlike, for instance, another side, like Abiola, for instance, who had connections direct, with with nationally. So he didn't have to, look for agents. Of course, for instance, you need people who will help you carry the message down there. But he had direct links, linkages with the grassroots out there. So it was bottoms up kind of thing. But in the case of Tinubu, it's going to be top bottom. And that is dodgy, really, because you wouldn't know whether these agents are real or not.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get some more thoughts about this, but let's connect with our guest over in Ekiti, who is joining us virtually, Rio Atoye, a public affairs analyst. If you can hear me, let's get your own reaction, initial reaction, about the declaration for the presidential bid in 2023 by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Well, thank you very much. I don't know if you can hear me very well, and I know the network has been a bit breaking. But I want to first commend the Daily Trust TV for your timely programs and your intervention in national issues. I want to say that the declaration by Tinubu is a constitutional right. He has a right, like every other Nigerian, to declare his interest to run. We cannot take that away. And he has also been around as national leader of the APC. He is a Lagos politician, Southwest leader, and also, like I said, national leader in the APC. However, with what we've seen in the last 6 years of the President Muhammadu Buhari administration, it's important that we have to do what we call soul searching as a nation. We have to think deeply whether this is the route we want to go, whether this is the path that is befitting for us, whether this is a journey that we should embark upon. But one thing Nigerians must know is this. Part of the reasons why I think the president deliberately granted some interview in the last couple of days on channels and probably on NTA was to explain certain things and probably to guide Nigerians against certain tendencies. The president told us about working for about 6 hours or less. The president told us that he is tired. The president told us certain things. I want to say that I think this president is giving us this information for us not to go through this part of electing old people again into power. It has to be based on capacity. It has to be based on the competence to be able to govern. Tinubu doesn't fit into this category. It is only Nigeria that will be deceiving ourselves. We know that Asiwaju doesn't have the health and the mental capacity to govern a complex nation like Nigeria at this point in time. This is a fact. This is not hidden, and it's quite unfortunate that even he himself will be throwing his hat in the ring. I don't know what this man love. We don't want to have another pensioner. I feel like this country is too important to be governed by people who want to turn.
Our virtual guest there talking, Ario Atoye, is talking about physical capacity, mental capacity. I mean, if you look at 2015, the same was said, about the current president, and he still emerged. So, talking about political alliance, and that the Asiwaju needs to foster, for him to actually realize this is his dream of becoming the president. If you look at, in his case, or I would say rather in the case of the current president, you have him who is very strong in the northern region, and then of course aligning with the Asiwaju who is in the southwest is also a very strong, influential politician there. But in the case of Asiwaju now, and if you look at the northern region, given the fact that the president has given this posture that, look, he's not going to be involved in the politics of 2023 and all of that, do you think that Asiwaju has these alliances that he needs to actually...
First of all, I think we need to make a point. I think the issue of, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu going to Aso Villa to declare his intention is inappropriate. Aso Villa is owned by Nigerians. It's not an APC, secretariat. It's not owned by APC. Yes, the government in power is APC, yes. But Aso Villa is a neutral venue of Nigerians. If you wanted to go and talk to Mr. President about your ambitions, keep it under wraps. And the presidency should not encourage that, because next time another presidential aspirant within APC will come, would demand his right to go to Aso Villa and also talk to Mr. President and come out.
We've seen that already.
Yeah, and come out and say, look, I've come, and it shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be encouraged. If it happened with Tinubu and David Umahi, it shouldn't happen, because it should be stopped, because really we don't want to turn Aso Villa into a partisan political turf for presidential aspirants. And if that goes on, the PDP aspirants too and other aspirants from other parties could also ask for the same favors. So I think Mr. President should tell his minions that, look, discourage this political pilgrimage here. But then, be that as it may, Tinubu wants to replicate the template that brought Buhari to power. He's trying to say, look, hey, it's now my turn to get this thing, and he's going about it in a desperate and in a sense of desperateness, the despotism and self-entitlement.
And again, if you look at the political, I would say the approval rating of the president as at against 2015, his goodwill and all of that, does he still have that, to be able to translate that into supporting a candidate?
That is why the president wisely stayed out of the fray, because he knows that his stock political stock, if I would say that, it's waning. And anybody, it's not, I would use the term again, it's not slam dunk that if Mr. President endorses you, you are going to get it, because there are quite a lot of issues. And Tinubu made a very tactical error in saying he was going to continue with Mr. President's, policies and measures. And that, to me, it's if he had measured the mood of Nigerians for him to say that, I think he should be well advised to really make sure he doesn't make such statements again, because there's quite a long haul to go. And if he continues to make that statement, he will now be putting himself in the same straitjacket as Mr. President, whose performances are being questioned now by people who actually loved him. Me here, one of them. So at the end of the day, Tinubu's political alliances in the north are dodgy, because he has not been able to link up with the people that matter. He's linking up, he's trying to look for political agents to carry his message down across, and those agents themselves are becoming very, very irrelevant to the politics we have. And my colleague there in Edo Ekiti has just said it. The mood in the country is not for people like Tinubu. If we've seen what has happened in the case of Mr. President, who himself has actually agreed that he's finding it not easy to go on with this innovating, high demanding job at his age. And Tinubu, is
not any better.
It's not any better. We don't want a president that would, spend the next 6 months again we have quite a lot of issues in Nigeria to cope with. And we need a president that is hands-on, a president that would be available, a president that would not be, having to hop on planes to go abroad to get treatment, and then the government stops. We want that. We have experience with Buhari. We don't want that. And if Tinubu is not up to it, health-wise, mentally, he should think again, because it will not all go well. These are some of the issues that will, engage the attentions of Nigerians, and they are going to, task him on that.
Okay. All right. Let's now take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will continue this discussion, still talking about reactions trailing Bola Ahmed Tinubu's declaration to run for the presidential election in 2023. Stay with us.
Good people of Federal Capital Territory, the area council elections will be conducted on Saturday, February 12th, 2022. This is an opportunity for you to vote for the candidate of your choice for the positions of chairman and councillors of the area councils. Elections will take place in all 6 area councils of Amak, Abaji, Kwali, Gwagwalada, Kuje, and Buari. The FCT administration is working closely with INEC to ensure that the elections are conducted in a free and fair atmosphere. Are you a supporter of any of the candidates in the elections? Avoid showing your support through thuggery and violent behavior. All candidates contesting various positions should remember that only God gives power. Elections should therefore not be seen as a do-or-die affair. We must shun any form of violence, malpractices, vote buying, ballot box snatching, or anything that will make the election unfair. Be patriotic. Perform your civic duties. Vote for the candidate of your choice in a peaceful and orderly manner. Let all electorates exercise their franchise without intimidation. Voting is your right. Use it wisely. This message is from the FCT administration.
The board and management of Media Trust Limited invites the general public to its annual Daily Trust Dialogue, themed 2023, The Politics, Economy and Insecurity. Date, 20th January 2022. Location, NAF Conference Center and Suites, Abuja. Time, 10 a.m. prompt. Chairman of the occasion, former Head of State, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, GCFR. Guest Speaker, Governor of Kaduna State, Malan Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai. Guest Speaker, Governor of Ebonyi State, Engineer David Umahi. Guest Speaker, former Chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mrs. Ifueko Omoigui Okauru. Moderator, Executive Director, Daria Media Nigeria Limited, Kadaria Ahmed. The event will be transmitted live on Trust TV, and all participants must observe COVID-19 protocols and wear their face masks.
All right, welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak on Trust TV. Still talking about Bola Ahmed Tinubu's presidential aspirations. We've been able to reconnect with our guest from Ekiti, Ario Atoye. He's a public affairs analyst. Now, let me push this particular question to you. Let's talk about the party he's running under, talking about the APC, because right now Nigerians seem to have lost hope in them. Don't you think that poses some kind of challenge, for him?
I don't know if you can hear me very well. I know the network is a bit awkward. But in the line of what I've heard so far, especially from your guest, not necessarily you have to have a national presence in terms of getting to have a national presence to be able to be known nationwide in every state, in every local government, in every ward, or to have political acceptability. No, that is not the way a presidential system of government is wired. What you need to do in a presidential system of government is to have electability profile, is to have the capacity to govern, is to be able to build a political structure, is to be able to reach out to people in every state, in every zone, in every region. That is the way a presidential system of government ought to be in an heterogeneous, complex nation like Nigeria. So Tinubu doesn't really need to have that towering presence and say it's a figure that must be everywhere. No, Tinubu is a household name in Nigeria. He's known across the north, across the south, east, west. That cannot be taken away from him. But building that electability profile to be able to win the hearts of the people is a different entirely. But at this point in time, and I think the media has a role to play. In other climes, the media take a firm position and say, this is our position on the subject matter. The media can take that position. We've seen that done in different climes in the US, in the UK. Look, we have all suffered from misgovernance in this country in the last couple of decades. We've all suffered from misgovernance in this country in the last couple of years. And we have a responsibility, both media, civil society, analysts, and everybody, to ensure that we do not allow some individuals who you can call spent force or spent forces, people who do not have the capacity to lead us as a nation. Now, a good number of us have elderly people at home, people who are over 70, who are over 75. We know how it is. We should thank the likes of Tinubu and people in his league for the role they've played in our
All right,
we'll try to reconnect with Ario Atoye there. I
don't think he actually answered the question because network and he didn't hear. But Mr. Ilyasu can actually talk about him being in the APC, being posing a challenge for his aspirations.
Well, my concern really apart from the fact that, by and large, Tinubu has a constitutional right to contest. We're just talking about the qualities and the misgivings we have, but that wouldn't stop him from contesting the elections and contesting, the ticket of the party and subsequently the elections. But there should be a level playing field. I mean, Tinubu seems to have this sense of entitlement, seems to feel that, the APC owes him something because he supported Mr. President and to emerge to where he is today. And so it's like, look, the party must give me that ticket, or the highway. That shouldn't be the issue. There are people within the APC who are capable, who should also be given the chance, a level playing field. It's not a matter of APC doesn't belong to Buhari and Tinubu alone. There are people who have labored to make APC where it is now. So they should also be given the same level chances. So it shouldn't be a matter of that, look, it's either Tinubu or the highway. Or
but if you look at the pillars, back in 2015, it's more like a Buhari-Tinubu affair, because the ACN on one hand, and then you have the CPC on the other hand. These are the major political parties, that came together to,
that was in 2015. We've come across, we have spent 6 years now of that arrangement, and it's left to Nigerians to say, look, hey, that arrangement came in with quite a lot of promise, but we have a right to say, look, this is how we feel about that arrangement, and we are not bound by what Tinubu and Buhari sat down to agree on. We have the right, we have the final say, and if the arrangement didn't work for us for the past 6 years, we have a right to say, look, we want to go differently, just like we did with PDP. So it's not a matter of entitlement and desperatism like Tinubu is showing, that he has to get he has a God complex, a Messiah complex, that, look, it's my turn. In 2015, there was an arrangement, that I helped to bring Buhari, and in 2023 or 2022, the party must give me that ticket. No, it's not. It doesn't work like that. There has to be a level playing field for people within the party to also pitch their tent.
Others have also raised this question about, Nigeria's unity and cohesion. Looking at the mood of the country at the moment, there are those, of course, as usual, it's a traditional way. In Nigeria, politics is always viewed in the lines of, ethnic and religious lines, even though that have its own negativity and negative implication, on our politics. But I mean, this is a reality of Nigeria, and so people are talking about, the Asiwaju, from the southwest being a Muslim, and the zoning conversation in the APC and all of that. How is that going to have an implication, on the crisis in the party?
This is one of the problematic issues I raised about Tinubu's presidential aspiration. And we at this, haven't come this far, 60 something plus years, we shouldn't be talking about, whether we should have unity. It's given, it should be given. But then these are issues that have come up in the public space. We cannot deny them, we cannot wish them away, we cannot ignore them. And that this has become one of the key issues in our political discourse and the political activities. So if the issue is that, okay, Tinubu power is going to shift to the southwest by the arrangements of the political parties, not the constitution anyway, by the way, if that's what the parties have agreed upon or have tacitly or whatever agreed upon, yes, Tinubu is going to be, well, he hopes to be the presidential candidate of the APC. Then, of course, by virtue of balancing in terms of religious considerations, you might want to say that, look, he must take somebody from the north, which is the next geographical region that would now take the the running mate slot. And being a Muslim from the southwest, he has not renounced his Islamic, faith. Then, of course, you would expect, going by the sentiments and whatever, that a Christian from the north would be his running mate. But then, of course, you have to also look at that on the basis of the voting, power and the voting situation in the north, because we all know that in the north, at least, majority of the people living in the northwest, northeast, and north central, if you take the whole tally of those areas, Muslims, are in the majority. Now, if Tinubu, being a Muslim from the southwest, takes a running mate from the north, as his from the north, then that also becomes problematic, because then you are going to give the signal to unfortunately, to the Christians from the north that they reckon with, and it's going to also reverberate in the south, because it's going to be a Muslim ticket. We have gone past the Abiola time when you have King Ibe and Abiola. Now these issues are very, 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 very germane.
But why are they even so important? I mean, we've always talked about for Nigeria to, realize the dreams, of the forefathers. Nigeria must be able to pass, go beyond this ethno-religious sentiments and all of that. That focus should be more on the merits of candidates instead of, some of these primordial sentiments. So why is it so strong?
Yeah, because it's the politicians themselves that promote it. I don't have an issue with it. I don't have an issue with it. The fact that you are a Muslim from anywhere or the Christian from anywhere, it's no skin off my nose, really. What I want is good governance. And what majority of Nigerians want is good governance. But the politicians promote it because that is their comfort zone. That is what they use to get to power. They cannot give us, in the absence of giving us ideology or giving us ideas, cutting edge ideas that would promote and advance the progress of this country, they are looking at these issues which don't count anyway. Because a lot of us now today are products of the Nigerian experience. A lot of us, there are many Nigerians today, majority of Nigerians today cannot really claim that they really, were born, bred, and became what they are. In their locality, they must have had to touch one or two areas in the country. So we should move along that way. But the politicians are not moving in that direction. They want easy and ready-made ways to get to power. And these are some of the issues that they help to promote to suit their aims. I don't have any issues about any Christian or any Muslim becoming president. What I have issues about is good governance. Let me get the basics of life, and then that's it.
Okay, now let's talk about Nigeria's fight against corruption. And we're all aware that Tinubu was once accused by a Nigerian chartered accountant, that's Dapo Akbara, of money laundering, fraud, tax evasion, and sundry corrupt practices.
Yes, the case is still going on. I mean, it's in relation to, a company that, that came up during his tenure to collect taxes, in Lagos, or, on behalf of the Lagos state government. And along the line, it was found out that, the company is linked to Tinubu. And of course, there was a lot of humongous, sums. Of course, it helped improve the tax situation and the revenue situation in Lagos. But then it was also found out that there are conduits through which, Tinubu gained, allegedly, gained from the operations of this company. Now, the issue is sub judice, is under, consideration in the courts. I think we should leave it at that point. But then, of course, it's one of those issues that have refused to go. A lot of Lagosians, some prominent Lagosians have made issue about that. And they also talk about Tinubu's nepotism. The fact that, he, of course, you have to give him credit for placing people in different, places. But when it comes to some of the key positions, that, he rides over, over the considerations of, and place his people in very, very key positions. And also the fact too that he's unforgiving. For instance, in the case of the Ambode issue, this is a governor that, was doing well as far as Lagosians are concerned. And of course, because of his personal ambitions and personal, considerations, he didn't allow, or he put the spanner in the works of the governor, the Governor Ambode, coming back as, for a second term. Now, of course, you could say it was the decision of the Lagos people, but of course, the hand of Tinubu weighed very heavily on that decision.
Okay. All right. Now let's get final thoughts from our guest in Ado Ekiti, Ario Atoe, who is standing by there. Well, I'm sure that you've been following, even though we've been having challenges with the network. Now, looking at, the mood generally in the country, about national cohesion, unity and all of that, does Tinubu fit into that category of people that, serve as rallying point for Nigerians, especially if, from the earlier point that you are making about having that national appeal, to be able to win election?
Again, let me say this, that Tinubu will be probably maybe judged as a smart politician, a good politician, if the reason why he's in the race is not probably to be the president, but to be involved in the arrangement so that he could also strategically and significantly determine the next president of Nigeria. we will give it to him that indeed is a smart politician. But if it is about really fulfilling his lifelong ambition, like it's been reported, and he wants to be the president, and I think that would be like telling him it is already late in the day. In terms of the dynamics, unity, because Nigeria is, like you said, a nation that is heterogeneous in nature, and you can't take that away. Now, Tinubu's ambition, let's even look at the context of the Muslim or the religious issue. I think maybe somebody like Fashola that is also running, who is also a Muslim. This same scenario will also play out in terms of balancing religious sensitivity. The problem here is this: the Southwest is willing and able to bring a Muslim or a Christian. It's not a problem for us in the Southwest. Anybody, can be. But the problem is whether the Connaughts will support a minority or a Christians in the North to be the vice president to a major political party, either PDP or APC, in case PDP is also bringing its own president.
Well, unfortunately, we do apologize for the hitches there experienced due to bad network there. But that was Ario Atoye, a public affairs analyst, joining us from Ado-Ekiti, giving us his own perspectives on the candidature of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Well, that's unfortunately, because of our time, we have to move on. But if I may, just give you 1 minute to round up.
Yeah, well, I mean, notwithstanding the fact that Bola Ahmed Tinubu, like any Nigerian, is qualified or is guaranteed constitutional rights to contest the elections, but we have to look at the salient issues. And of course, there's a body of opinion, building body of opinion, that he has played his part very well, and that he should actually, at this point in time, yield the ground to somebody else, so as to continue the effort of nation building that we have done. And in that respect, he will, write his name in gold in the annals of Nigerian political history.
All right, thank you so much for coming on the program and sharing your thoughts with us. We've been speaking with Ilyasu Gadu, who is a contributor to Daily Trust and also a columnist, public affairs analyst, and commentator. Now, we were also joined by Ario Atoye, who is a public affairs analyst, joining us from Ado-Ekiti, joining us virtually. With that, we wrap up the show today.
Yes, we do. Thank you so much for watching from beginning to end. We'll be back again tomorrow, same time, same station. I'm Dashan Hussaina Usman.
And for those who have missed, you can always catch up on our YouTube. This is being streamed live on YouTube and also uploaded there for you to have a preview much later. You can also connect with us on all our social media handles for other stories. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.